I clicked on Kumakumai.
Friends, I think we should start because we have already spent 5 minutes of the 40 minutes. So I need your patience. Yes, of course, at the end of this lecture, I will take your queries. So without wasting time, I will start this lecture. So my screen is visible to all, this presentation.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. I will start now. Friends, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Today, we will start the last unit, that is ubiquitous communication and its management. So basically, in this chapter, we are going to learn what are the different types of network, what are the different types of underlying ICT infrastructure that is being used in a ubiquitous applications. So that's what the today's agenda of discussion. So this chapter, it typically focuses on the internal system properties of the distributed uh, system, or you can say that the distributed ICT infrastructure, as well as this chapter will also try to focus on the external interaction with ICT. So this is what the today what we are going to see under this unit. So this is the basically outline for this unit. These are the different topics under this unit. First, I will try to cover this first two topics in today's session. So first we'll see the introduction to the ubiquitous communication and its management. So friends, ubiquitous application, it uses the communication network to access the external information, to access the task, to complete the task, and they do it at any time and anywhere. Although this communication access, it can be modeled as a part of the internal system, the core of communication network infrastructure, it is considered to be external to your ubiquitous computing application, and sometimes it is also referred as the part of virtual computing environment. So the different application, they requires the different combination of network function and the services. For example, we can say that we need the services like data streaming, then minimal jitter, type of the media access control, and so on and so forth. So different network supports the different set of communication function in a different ways. So of course there are certain key design issues which we need to concern about it. So we'll see what are these key design issues. So the first key design issue is whether or not these communication functions are largely transparent, or you can say that whether or not this communication is exposed via some interfaces. Okay, and these interfaces which are controlled by some services, or you can say that the service oriented network. The second key design issue is that whether or not to make all the network services ubiquitous. That is, it is a question that shall we make all the services ubiquitous? We can make the services available at any time, anywhere to the user. Okay, so these are some key design issues. So now many general and introductory text and description about the networkings, they are specialized towards the special types of network. Okay, so for example, what are the special type of network? These are basically, the first, for example, the data communication network. Now the data communication network, traditionally, it focuses most on the communication of alphanumeric data. Then the other example is the telecommunication network. The telecommunication network, it focuses on the voice communication, and it's used as an underlying network for transmitting the data as well as the video over the network. Then the third example is the third type of network example is broadcast audio video network, which basically uses the separate radio and the TV network, or it may use the wireless network. Now, because of the one interpretation of ubiquitous communication is, you can say that the ubiquitous communication, it is interpreted as any content on any network, anytime, anywhere. Hence, the complete range of different media network is created holistically in this chapter, or you can say that in this entire concept. Now, these are some network communication services or functions. So communication involves the functions such as encoding of signal, modulation of signal. When the signal strength becomes weak, we need to modulate that signal. We have to distribute the signal. The channels at the base stations in a communication network, they needs to be shared. We have to ensure that the sharing should be done in an efficient way. Now, these are the two widely used protocol for achieving this task or accomplishing this task of channel sharing and efficiency are the MAC and LLC, that is the medium access control and the logical link control protocol. These are the two basic protocol which are used in a data layer. Then other network communication functions are the checking the error in the data frames and correcting it, transferring the data and controlling the data. We have the network ensures that once the data is transmitted, it should be reached at the receiver's end. So many times the data needs to be buffered, it needs to be unbuffered. So they depend on what kind of network you are using, it happens. Okay. Then there are different types of data transmission technology. One is synchronous versus other is the asynchronous data transmission. The network communication function, which also includes the data routing, provide the security, strengthening the security of your message, metadata, and transfer. So these are some network communication functions, or you can call it as a network services. Okay. So now we'll slightly move to the next part of our topic, that is the audio network. So this is what the introduction about the ubiquitous computing management, ubiquitous communication and its management. Now we'll see the audio network, because we are going to learn what are the different underlying ICT infrastructure that is being used in a ubiquitous computing applications. So first type of network that we are going to discuss is audio network. Okay, so there are different types of audio network. They are typically PSTN voice network, intelligent network, IP-based multimedia subsystem network, then ADLS broadband, asynchronous digital line subscriber broadband communication network, then telecommunication, wireless wide area network, WWWAN, then telecommunications wireless local area network, which is typically known as digitally enhanced cordless network technology. And then finally, the audio broadcast network. These are some types of audio network. Now, if you look at properly on these types of network, then you will come to some conclusion that this audio networks, they are basically of two types. One is audio unicast network, which is popularly the popular or the widely used audio unicast network example is the PSTN network, that is the public switch telephone network. And on the or in contrast to this unicast network, there are audio broadcast network. So the best example of audio broadcast network is the radio network, or you can typically call it as the DAB. Okay, that we'll see what is DAB. Okay, so I'll just give you some glimpses of what is this unicast and broadcast. See friends, audio network typically it aims at transmission of voice from sender to receiver. Now, in this transmission, in this voice transmission, we use two types of network. Okay, the unicast network typically used between two people or between two users, whereas the broadcast network are used from one to many. For example, we know that we use the FMs, right? So FM is the best example of broadcast network. So a single user is broadcasting the data, or you can say that it broadcasts the voice or the audio data on the network, and all the multiple users, they will receive this audio network audio data. So this is what the glimpses of the audio network. So first, a unicast audio network that we are going to discuss will be a public switch telephone network. So public switch telephone network, originally it was designed to support the voice communication. It does not support the data transmission or the video or the multimedia transmission, multimedia content transmission. When PSTN network was introduced, then originally the analog transmission technique, voice transmission technique was used. Later on, with the introduction of the second generation wireless technology, when the public switch telephone network, they were modified, and then they started supporting digital transmission of your voice as well as the data. Still, today's public switch telephone network, they use the two separate networks. They use the separate network for voice transmission as well as for the data transmission. Although the convergence of voice, data, and audio video processing is still supported by this PSTN network. Now, when we talk about this PSTN network, the telephones which were used in 1990s, which are fixed at one point, these telephones, they act as a PSTN access device. So these telephones which we have seen 25 years back, they were act as a PSTN, or they referred as the PSTN access device. I will show you the figure of it. Then based on this, there are two types of users, PSTN users. One is home users, where for home user, the single line local loop to the external local switch station is dedicatedly established, or there is a dedicated communication between the home user single line local loop and the external switching station. On the other hand, there are work user, for example, the corporate users, you can say, or a group users, you can say. So for work user or for group user, the phone connects to a private circuit switch network, or which is also called as a private branch exchange. And this private branch exchange, it is connected to the external network. And that's how indirectly the external networks, they are accessed by this work user via private branch exchange or the private circuit switch exchange, you can call it. So this is a typical figure of the public switch telephone network. You can see that, I'll just move the mouse pointer on this. So this is the example of home user, and this is the example of work user, the group user. So you can see that the group users, there are more than one group user. There are more than one user in a group whose dedicated local loop lines, they are actually connected to the phone branch exchange, okay, which is sometimes called as the circuit switch network, okay. And this circuit switch, this phone branch exchange, which in turn connected to the central office via these trunk lines. So you can see that there is a dedicated cables, all these equipments, may be a phone, which is a access device in this network, may be phone branch exchange, may be central office, and may be PSTN network, because PSTN is external network in this case. So all these entities in this PSTN network, they are connected with each other through the cables. Okay, and we can see that if this home user wants to call this work user, then a dedicated line is established. A dedicated channel will be established between this user and this home user. Okay. Now this actually improves the quality of service. Okay. If you compare today's digital voice transmission calls with the first generation PSTN networks voice call, the first generation PSTN voice call, they have superb quality of service. There was no interruption. There was no, what we can say that there was no network interruption during the voice transmission. Because the reason is that you will get a complete dedicated line for voice transmission. Okay. On the counterpart, okay, today's digital network, we do not have the dedicated communication line between the sender and receiver, which will be used for the only voice transmission. Okay. Now, though this PSTN network, this kind of PSTN network provides the good quality of service, but on the other hand, we have to compensate the resources. How we have to compensate the resources? Can I say that when this landline user calls landline user, and the dedicated line or the channel is established, so after the conversation, still that channel is live between this this telephone user and this telephone user. So it is complete wastage of resources. Remember, friends. So in circuit switch technology, which was used in PSTN network, we cannot optimally utilize the network resources, because there is a dedicated allocation of channels, there is a dedicated allocation of network resources for the users, and that naturally turns into, you can say that, one of the major drawback of PSTN network. Okay, then about the PSTN network. So core network was originally not designed for packet switch transmission. It was designed for circuit switch type transmission, designed to first set up a dedicated circuit for links between the switching office. That's what I just mentioned. And the circuit switch used in telecommunication network, it uses the hierarchy. That is, the 5 levels are used for the communication between the users. You can see these are the 5 level communication between the users. So from home user to the PBX, from PBX to the central office, from central office to the PSTN network, and then the underlying PSTN infrastructure. And then the call will be routed to the destination. So it's a 5 level hierarchy. So PSTN, it was originally designed to be very resilient. Circuit switching can enable a higher quality of service per call, but at the expense of non-optimal use of the channel. This is what I just mentioned. I hope you do not have any doubt in this. Is there any doubt in PSTN?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. So I'll move to the next type of audio network, that is the intelligent network. The earliest type of digital communication networks were designed to support the specific services using the specialized logic contained in the specialized switching network element. Okay, so any new feature or service which is proposed have to be added and implemented directly in the core switch system, which lead to very long introduction times of new services. So the intelligent network services, this service model, the intelligent network service model, it is standardized by the ITU, which offers a new value added and the customer voice services, such as toll-free calls. Toll-free calls. So, basically, is there any problem? Okay, great. I can hear some noise at the background. Please try to remove those noise. So this supports the independent component-based services in a general purpose computer nodes rather than in a spatial switching node. Now this enables the service provider to drive a new service rather than network provider, and allows the service provider to use these services to form the flexible overlay network. Okay. Now the active development in this new intelligent network services, it has declined in recent years, although there are still many systems across the world which uses this technology. For example, they support toll-free calls. Now the entire emphasis is now more on development of telecommunication services and the APIs rather than on developing a new telecommunication network protocol. Okay. So although there seems to be clear move to IP based network in the shorter term, okay, and what is done, my friends, here, the two networks, they have combined together, and the resultant network, which is called as the hybrid intelligent network. Okay, so which two networks are combined together? So IP based network and the IP based multimedia subsystem, these are the two networks which have been combined together to produce a hybrid intelligent network, which is more efficient than this IP network and the IP based multimedia. So our next topic of discussion is IP based multimedia system. So IMS was originally developed for 3G wireless network, but later on the fixed network and the, you can say that the wireless local area network was also supported by it. Okay. So user access the IMS, this IP multimedia subsystem, using internet protocol or using the IP addresses. Now there are some key challenges when you are using the IP multimedia based systems in ubiquitous computing applications. So let us see what are these challenges. So key challenge is the application layer control protocol for controlling the voice and video sessions, the multimedia conferences, messaging, and presence over the IP. So this type of multiple media transmission control can be performed using the IETF SIP protocol. SIP protocol is session initiation protocol, and IETF, which actually stands for International Engineering Task Force. They have developed this protocol called as session initiation protocol. Now this protocol, it replaces the ITU's earlier H.323 protocol. So what is ITU? ITU is actually, it is International Telecommunication Union. Okay. Now this type of, you can say that the basic entities in a typical session initiation protocol system, it involves a series of mediator where user sign in and will be authenticated. Location servers are used to track the user's location. The servers detect whether the users are active or not. The proxy servers, or you can call it as the redirection servers, which assists which assist us in a call forwarding. And you know, these are some basic entities in a typical session initiation system protocol. Session initiation protocol. Okay. Now this session initiation protocol, it can use three different types of MCU. The first type of MCU is full mesh, second is mixer, and third type of MCU is the multicast. Okay, now nobody has asked me what is the MCU stands for. So MCU is basically a data unit, a control unit, a data control unit. It is basically a data control unit. So there are three different types of MCUs used in session initiation protocol. First type is full mesh, second is mixer, and third is the multicast. In full mesh, every participant builds you can say a signaling path with every other participant and sends an individual copy of the media stream to the other. Now this only scales to very small group. In second type of MCU, that is a mixer or a bridge, which takes several media streams and replicates them to all the participants. So that is the mixer. So in second type of MCU, it takes several MCU and creates a replica of that MCUs and distribute that MCUs to all the participants. So it's a kind of broadcasting. Then in multicasting, neither full mesh or nor mixer scales to large conferences. Hence, a network layer multicast is used to support this type of MCU, that is multicast MCU. So these are typically used in video conferencing. Okay, friends, then the next type of audio network is the asynchronous digital subscriber line broadband. So ADSL, it is a transmission technology that can be used to increase the transmission capability over the existing physical public switch telephone network. It does this by exploiting the fact that audio telephony, okay, I have 10 minutes left, I'll just go fast. Exploiting the fact that audio telephony signal requires only about 3 kilohertz of bandwidth. Okay, so high frequency signals are transmitted using ADSL broadband, and I will tell you what is its frequency. So its frequency is about 3 kilohertz bandwidth. So at a frequency of 3 kilohertz, it transmits its signal. So to transmit the higher capacity signal, the ADSL broadband is used. However, the digital signal processing can be used to support the signal modulation, which is commonly based upon the discrete multitone, and the international standard, which are based on carrierless amplitude modulation phase modulation, which is typically called as the CAP signals, CAP signals. Okay, this is a typical ADSL network where you have, you can see that you have a splitters, you have ISP DSLM, you have DLS access multiplexer, so on and so forth. Okay, then we'll see the wireless telecom network. Now, to support the access anywhere for mobile or your cell phone users, the wide area wireless telecom networks have been established. There are different networks depending on the geographic region and on the generation of the wireless network, such as the first generation wireless technology, which is analog, and the second generation wireless technology, which is digital. So this differs primarily in the way of the way they are designed to share the access to the wireless network among the different users. So based on this, there are different types of network used. Global system for mobile communication, port division multiple access, then time division multiple access. So these are some different network used in second generation wireless technology. I will let you know what is the fact of this. Now these networks may be GSM network, CDMA network, or TDMA network. Okay, so this network can interoperate via gateways to allow the CDMA phones to call the GSMA phone, but a CDMA phone can't be used to directly on a GSM network or vice versa. So phone can also be designed to be used on both networks. So the wireless transmitters, what we can, yes, wireless transmitter or the base stations, they have a limited range and are positioned so that they cover an area or wireless cell which overlap each other to some extent of degree. Now this is designed so that when a user moves from one cell to another cell or from one base station to another base station, the communication will be handover to its adjacent base station. And often this is done transparently without the user being aware of this. Friends, you know that when you move from one base station area to another base station area, your call will be handed over from one base station to its adjacent base station without knowing us. Okay, so that's what the wireless telecom network. The second type of wireless telecom network is digital enhanced cordless technology. Now it has been deployed in over 100 countries worldwide to access the wireless voice communication within a local area. It used both TDMA and time division duplex algorithm to avoid the interference from the DECT system. Okay, so it gives you typically 120 duplex channel in a device when operating at 1.88, or you can say that 1.9 gigahertz frequency. It has also been specified to operate in the license-free 2.4 gigahertz frequency band. Okay, so that's what the DECT. So DECT is basically a wireless area network in a local area. wireless network in a local area network. Then the second type of the other type of audio network is the audio broadcast network. Now there are several benefits in using the audio broadcasting or radio. It supports one sender to many receiver. It is more ubiquitous than video as it supports a multimodal interface that allows the humans to listen to music and voice while engaged in many everyday physical world activities. So that requires the visual concentration. For example, when you are driving a vehicle, you can listen to the audio. The radio receivers, unlike the wireless data network, they are inherently designed to handle and tune into receive a wide spectrum of radio frequency signals, and these signals are basically multiple channels, okay, multiple signals. So that's what the audio broadcast network. The last network, that is the DAB, which is called as digital audio broadcast. Digital radio has been introduced as a replacement of analog radio. For digital radio, the Eureka 147 digital audio broadcast standard is commonly used, and it is coordinated by the world's DMB forum. So DAB, it uses MPG1 in the first layer. In the second layer, it uses the audio codec, and in the third layer, it uses the personal players, which actually this file, this audio files, this audio data will get executed or processed. The main original objective of DAB were to provide the radio at CD quality, that is compact disc quality, to provide better in a car reception quality than using a frequency modular radio, to use the spectrum more efficiently, to allow the tuning by the name of station rather than by the frequency, and to allow the data to be transmitted. Friends, this DAB, digital audio broadcast network, the best example of this DAB network is all the satellite radios that you are using on the internet. They are the best example. So I have finished with this audio networks. We have seen the different types of network. We have seen PSTN network, we have seen intelligent network, then we have seen the wireless area network, wide wireless telecommunication area network. We have seen ADCL area network, we have seen the radio network, we have seen the DAB network. So these are the 6 different types of radio network, and audio network is typically categorized into 2 types: unicast audio network and the broadcast audio network. And radio network, DAB network, they are the best example of broadcast network, wherein PSTN network, your wireless telecommunication wide area network, and the wireless area network, typically what we call the ADCL. These are the best examples of unicast audio network. Thank you so much for listening me patiently. Thanks a lot. Once this recording is finished, I will upload this video on the YouTube. Thank you. Now we have 2 minutes to take the question. Is there any queries?
No, sir.
Is there any queries in the entire topic?
No, sir.
Thank you all, friends.
No, sir.
I hope you enjoyed. And there is one important announcement that, friends, I just in the morning, I came to know that this Zoom application is not, it is vulnerable to the security attacks. The data may get stolen. Our data may get stolen because indirectly we are generating a tons of data. We know that. So today I will find any other video conferencing tool, any other ICT tool to interact on the net. I will share with you. So hereafter, I'm not going to use the Zoom. Thank you so much. Please, is there any question? We have 1 minute and 30 seconds to questions. Is there any question?
No, sir.
Pawan,
No, sir.
Neha, Komal.
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Bharat, Pranmay,
No doubt, sir.
No, sir. No doubt, sir.
Mahendra, Bahubali. Please, Mahendra Bahubali.
Bala.
Kalyani,
Bala bapla.
Vidula.
No, sir.
Is there any problem? Nikita, Jugal Kishore. I can find Jugal Kishore, Pawan.
No, sir, no problem.
तुषार
No,
तुषार
sir. No problem, sir.
खुशबू खुशबू सोनोने
No problem, sir.
प्रतीक
No.